So about a month ago, I took some time to put together a collection of Washington Capitals cards that represent players who, since I've been a fan of the team, all along the way from about the year 2008 until present day. Um, Got a bunch of goaltenders I'll start out with. I have from that time period, 2008 to today, every goaltender who has been kind of a mainstay. Not everyone has played a game, but one, I forget what the cutoff I put in was, that I found a list. It maybe been like, if they played 20 or more games over that time period, I have one of each of their cards going back to Ole the goalie, Ole Kolzig. So we'll start with the goaltenders here, and then we'll get into the skaters, defensemen, forwards as well. So we'll start with the goaltenders here. So first off, we got Ole Kolzig here. This is a black diamond brand here, upper deck. He took us to the Stanley Cup final in '98, where we got swept by the Red Wings. But yeah, he was the goaltender we had for a good long time. So a lot of good memories for Ole Kolzig there. After Kolzig, you got Brent Johnson, who filled in a lot as a backup goaltender. Would start a good amount of games too. I think today he's still a analyst for the broadcast team when they're doing Caps games. They'll often have him giving his commentary, so he's still around with the organization. That's good. So Brent Johnson there. Some of his stats there for the Capitals. Kind of bounced around a little bit before ended up in Washington. After that, you got Cristobal Huet, our French-Canadian goaltender. He was, I think, with Kolzig, when he retired, you had Brent Johnson, Cristobal Huet, and then we'll get to our next one after this with Jose Theodore. That's Cristobal Huet. And like I said, next we got Jose Theodore. When I first started going to Caps games, there was a lot of Jose Theodore. Came from Colorado. This was the first year he was with the Capitals. Came up with the Montreal Canadiens, went over to Colorado, and either signed a deal or got traded. I forget exactly how, but he ended up with Capitals. One funny story, we were at a game, and I didn't really even notice it when it happened. My little brother did. And when the other team was killing a penalty, Capitals had a advantage power play, and I think Theodore was down on the other side of the ice, of course, near his goal, and he's kind of twirling his stick around like in a fancy way, just killing some time there, and somehow he, I guess, routine of the stick twirling failed him, and his stick fell to the ground, I guess a little bit away from him, about a couple feet away from him. And at that time, same exact time, the team got the puck and was taking it back down towards him. So he had to rush out to get it and come on back to the goal and kind of put himself almost in a really kind of a tight spot. So I think that was one memory that happened during a game with Jose Theodore. After Theodore, we go on to Semyon Varlamov, who is still active in NHL, still playing for not the Islanders anymore. Is he? I forget where he is these days, actually, but with the Capitals, he's one of the first of these guys before him. He was one of the first like Russian goaltenders we had in a while, I imagine. So he had a good connection with Ovechkin, of course. But this is his a couple games in there. This season he was our playoff goaltender too. Like we had Jose Theodore, we had Varlamov, we went with Varlamov in the playoffs. So we got some good time in a Stanley Cup playoff situation, which is kind of high pressure, but he did pretty well, and he had the job after that the next following season. Tomas Vokoun, he was a great player for the Panthers and also the Nashville Predators. Had a lot of experience, brought him in, signed him as a free agent on a one-year deal, and he had a very good season for us. He really did well. Didn't get us the cup, but that was kind of the thing for the Capitals for a long time. Not getting a cup was what we did, or maybe didn't do, I guess. Michael Neuwirth, he was another Czech goaltender, just like Vokun, Czech Republic. The wide angle shot here, getting wide there with his glove and blocker. And Michael Neuwirth had a number of good years with us. Shipped him out too, I think, or I think he just re-signed or signed with Philadelphia after he was with Capitals. Moved on. We got Braden Holtby here. Not much to say about him besides he's got us a Stanley Cup. He will forever be immortalized for his efforts to do the undoable. Remember the save against the Golden Knights. Yeah, great guy too. Trade deadline here, just that is about to pass. A couple days, people are still clamoring, trying to get him back in Capitals uniform, but yeah, he's still playing at Dallas right now, I think. For now, at least. You got Philip Grubauer. I remember seeing Philip Grubauer at the training camp one year. We went down to Arlington, saw him play, and he was this new German goaltender we had. And he played great. The thing about the goaltenders that we've had over this whole time frame, from Kolzig to even today, it's been like just really a constant, steady stream of goaltenders coming in that are prepared, that are productive right away. We've never really had a point where it's like, well, we need to get some goaltenders. We don't have anybody that can play goaltender. We're always doing a great job of developing our talent, bringing them up when they're ready, and they perform very well. Grubauer was one of them. We would play him when Holtby. We'd swap back and forth between them, and there were some times where Grubauer was even looking better than Holtby, and so it was kind of a cool situation where you just have this kind of farm system of goaltenders that just keeps on doing what you need them to do year after year, and hasn't seen much success with the Kraken. I think I saw him play the other day. He's not quite where he was with us, but we wish him every success. You got Ilya Samsonov, current goaltender, current top dog usually, but sometimes not. This is not his rookie card, but after his first season. And then, as well today, we've got Vitek Vanacek. Kind of go back and forth between Samsonov and Vanacek. Got great stats there. You look at both of their first season stats. I mean, Samsonov, he's got a lot of talent. Vanacek too. So that's the goaltenders. Nice little collection of very successful goaltenders over the years. And then we get into the skaters. Let's do about the first half here. So we got Sergei Gonchar, one of the defensemen, Russian origin. He was a guy, he played for, after us, he went to, I believe, Ottawa as well as Pittsburgh. And when we would have a game against those teams, and he came back to, back then Verizon Center, after MCI Center, today Capital One Arena. But back then it was whenever he had the puck, he'd be skating with it, looking to pass or create a play, and we'd always make this whoop whoop sound. And in our section, 407, we'd always do that sound whenever he touched the puck. So it was a kind of a tradition we had, trying to throw him off his game, I guess. Peter Bondra here is a show numbered card here for 734. I guess is that. I'm not sure the significance of that number. Is that games? Because his points between so 734 points total. There's the SPX achievements. Yeah, Peter Bondra was the man. Pre-Ovechkin, you had Bondra. He was fast, winger, goal scorer. He was the dude before draft Ovechkin in 2004. Another guy, Thomas Fleischmann. Thomas Fleischmann was another Czech. Great goal scorer. This is his Young Guns card, upper deck. You see some of his stats there. He's a good goal scorer. Number of 20-goal seasons with us before he headed on out to, I think he played for, I forget where he went to, but he moved on to a couple of the teams before hanging up the skates. Eric Fehr. Eric Fehr, I'll always remember him for that first outdoor game, the Winter Classic against the Penguins. He had the game-winning goal. He was a good goal scorer for us. I think he was a first-round pick. A number of good seasons with us. Eric Fehr. This is the guy when me and my family first started watching together all these hockey games and going to the games at Verizon Center. Sergei Fedorov was a guy we signed as a free agent, brought him in. I think he was definitely a mentor for Ovechkin, being a Russian. He was one of the first Russians to defect from the Soviet Union, come over here, play for the Red Wings, won Stanley Cups with them. So he's a winning track record, brought that into DC, and we won our first playoff series against Philadelphia, I believe. And he was a crucial part of that. He was a great leader to have on the team, and what he did for that was pretty special. Yeah, brought him in 07-08, about halfway through that season. Let's see here. Oh yeah, Viktor Kozlov, another guy who was a good winger for us for a while. Another Russian. Yeah, he was a guy who, a gentleman in our section 407, was always had some choice words for him whenever he did make the best of plays, we could say. But he had some good goal scoring years. He played for the Sharks, Panthers, Devils, Islanders, and then the Capitals. So he was a veteran by the time he made it over to DC. But big body, 6'5", 235. He was a physical force and a pretty good goal scorer. Always around kind of 20 goals. So a very solid second line guy. Donald Brashear, one of the first enforcers I remember watching. And he was an enforcer. I'll still watch some of his videos of the fights he had over the years. He was a fighter. O-Pee-Chee kind of refractor foil card here. I also have one that has a piece of his jersey in it. I got that one too, but it's not in this set I have right here. That's on my display, which I might show in a later video. But yeah, Donald Brashear, definitely. He's wearing the A there. He was an alternate captain. He was a leader on the team. And if you count Tom Wilson today as an enforcer, which I wouldn't, he's maybe got an enforcer-like role, but he's not the enforcer. Brashear was an enforcer. He was, he could score some goals. He could skate around a little bit, but really his job was to lay down the law. And we don't really have that a whole lot in the NHL. The Donald Brashear archetype is really no more in the NHL for a number of reasons. One being you kind of want a guy who can maybe score a little bit more on your fourth line and not someone who's maybe just isolated in that specific role, which doesn't really improve your ability to score goals at times. Mike Knuble, another alternate captain here. He was great right winger, getting some dirty goals. Came from Philadelphia, also Boston. So he'd been in our conference for a while. Joined the Capitals, was great. He really had a nose for the puck, he'd be in front of the net, crashing the net, getting those goals for us. He had Semin and Ovechkin kind of skating around, doing their thing, finessing, and Knuble was getting those dirty goals. So we really had a lot of respect for him. He was a leader too at the time. Wish we could have gotten the cup with us, but didn't happen. Speaking of Semin, here he is right here. Another Russian winger, another Black Diamond upper deck. He was a great skills player. I mean, of course, in the shadow of Ovechkin, but they were good friends. They were, palling it up. But what Semin could do, and I think the moment I remember the most of his career was it was a Sunday afternoon game, and we went to overtime against Boston, and it was very early in the overtime period. He took a shot from the red line, from the middle red line, and it went in. It was the most insane shot I'd ever seen, and it was like, oh, that went in, oh, and game's over. It was a walk off, mid ice shot that went in, and it was pretty incredible to end a game that way. So that must have been back in 2009, maybe early 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So Alexander Semin, good memories with him. Also, the time he was in a fight with Mark Stahl, where he played the bongos, as Joe Beninati said on the broadcast. Another Black Diamond card for Mike Green now. Mike Green was a defenseman who had a nose for scoring. He was putting up goal numbers that were really, really special. I think he had a 30-goal season in 08-09. He was a great accumulator of power play goals, power play assists. He was really special in that. Never got into the Canadian Olympic team because his defense was lacking. But he was an offensive defenseman to the T, and probably the most prominent of that time frame right there, where he was just working with Ovechkin, working with Semin on that power play, and putting up great numbers. Mike Green. One of my favorite players in this time period, the Capitals, right here, Jason Chimera. This guy had wheels. He could get on. He could take a puck that would be passed to him and get to the net and beat out defensemen often. He was a speedster. He was also a grinder. He was a physical guy, but he just had a very fast pace to him. I remember that when he got traded over to us, we traded away Chris Clark, our then captain, in 2010 there, and we got him from Columbus, and I don't know who this guy is, and that he quickly made a reputation for his hard work, his effort. I think of all the guys on these teams here before 2018, I feel like Chimera was the one I most felt for when we would come up short every year, because I really wanted to get him, Mike Knuble. It'd be nice to get them a Stanley Cup. That's what we're all hoping for. And I think it was after one defeat one season where the camera was showing him walking through the back to the locker room, and he broke his stick, and you could just tell. And that was probably the last year he had with us. He knew that window had closed, and he was not going to get that Stanley Cup win that he had dreamed about since he was a kid. But that is sports sometimes. But the work he put in every day, and every game, you saw his effort really paying off, and he was a special player to watch, and one of my favorites for those reasons. Troy Brouwer was a good goal scorer for us, got about 20 goals a year. Good grinder guy. He was kind of a grinder, but also a goal scorer. Kind of a good hybrid of both of those. He was a right winger, good second line guy. Troy Brouwer. Next up, we got a guy who's now on the Avalanche, Andre Burakovsky. His rookie card here, OPG Platinum. He was a guy who was Austria-born, but he played in Sweden. And here's OHL Erie. Put up great numbers there. 87 points in 57 games. With a 47 plus minus. He played really well in our Stanley Cup winning season. He was a guy who could score some goals. He was in the doghouse every now and then because he was pretty raw. I think who was the coach at the time? Coach at the time was kind of seeing a lack of maybe what he was looking for, so he'd oftentimes be a healthy scratch. But when the playoffs came around, he had that big goal against Tampa Bay, helped us win that series in 7, and push us to the final against the Stanley Cup final against the Golden Knights. So he was a big time player in that series. Remember that pretty well. Another crowd favorite, Joel Ward. He was a grinder, but a goal scorer. He was a guy who brought in to show some of the leadership, but also the playoff scoring ability. Because bringing guys like Brouwer, Ward, Knuble, these are all guys who we needed to keep on adding players who had success at a high level because we wanted to get to that Stanley Cup, and that process took a long time. And over the years, just having these players come in and do their best to get to that goal was important. And yeah, Joel Ward, great all-around guy, really great guy to have on our team. Really some good memories of Joel Ward for sure. All right, last half here. Another OPG Platinum card, this time for Marcus Johansson, another Swede. He was a great goal scorer. He was a left-handed shot. He was on the power play, second unit probably most of the time. And he was a contributor. Was not on the team for the Stanley Cup season, but I think he helped us get to where we needed to be for that. He was a contributor. After him, we've got Brooks Orpik. This is another guy, like I was just saying. We're bringing in guys who had either won a Stanley Cup or had success in the playoffs in the past. This is a guy who'd won a cup with the Penguins. So we brought him in to be a leader, and he was an alternate captain. Great defensive defenseman, too. He not only had that leadership quality, but he also had kind of that shutdown defensive ability that we were looking for. So here's from that Chicago Blackhawks outdoor game, the second Winter Classic that we played. We've done, 3 already? So this is number 2, I believe. That was at Nats Park. But yeah, Brooks Orpik definitely got what we wanted out of him, and he helped us achieve that milestone. Here's Matt Niskanen, another guy we brought in. He was paired up with Orpik a lot. Niskanen was more of a goal scorer, more of a playmaker, but still had pretty good defensive abilities as well. Definitely not a just offensive guy, but a good two-way defenseman. Played in the Stars and also the Penguins. So we brought in Niskanen and Orpik, both who were former Penguins. And they helped us get that goal of the Stanley Cup. And then Jay Beagle. Great face-off guy. Great center. Now he's playing for Vancouver, I believe, still. But he was always a fan favorite, too. Good old Beegs. Justin Williams, another with that theme of bringing in playoff success. He was known as Mr. Game 7. He won a Stanley Cup with the Kings, also with the Carolina Hurricanes. And bringing him in was an important factor in that Stanley Cup winning season, for sure. There's his stats there. Yeah, he was on the Kings for a while there. Camp with Hurricanes, also Philadelphia, it looks like. So he kind of bounced around a little bit. But yeah, he had great hockey hair, too. He had that kind of long hair. He'd take his helmet off, and you'd see that hair kind of tumble on down. So he's probably thinking I'm missing a couple players right now. Well, here's Backstrom. I got this is the, what do you call it, the Tim Hortons card. Got a Backstrom and a couple of those coming up here that are in the same set. But yeah, Backstrom, I think he's my favorite. He's a Swedish center. Great, he's feeding Ovechkin the puck, getting him set up for all those goals that he's been known for his career. So look no further than Nick Backstrom. He's been a great alternate captain this whole time. He's a great leader who leads by example, and all around great guy. It's been a pleasure to have him here in DC his whole career. Hopefully, I'm hoping he retires here because him and Ovechkin have been the epitome of Washington Capitals hockey over this time period. It's been the Ovechkin era, but Backstrom is, right there next to him. Here's Ovechkin. Again, the Tim Horton card. I got that foil finish to it. It looks kind of nice, but I'm not sure if it's really that valuable. Also, the stats are kind of limited here. Doesn't go back as far as it could. They have a ton of space here, but gotta make room for the Tim Hortons logo, I guess. Can't take up that space. It is taken up already. Only 525 goals this time. We're up to, I think, 769 right now, I believe. I have a little bobblehead that has a little ticker that you can increase every time he scores a goal. So I check that every now and then, make sure it's up to date. Evgeny Kuznetsov, when he came up, he was a phenom. I remember watching the World Juniors Cup, and he was a playmaker for Russia, Team Russia. He was head and shoulders above the competition, and when we were able to draft him, I think he was already drafted by us, and he was playing the World Junior Championship there, and it was like, wow, this guy's going to be on our team. This guy's going to be phenomenal, and he has been. He's been a great player. He's a goal scorer, but also kind of he can make plays to set other people up too. He draws attention away from Ovechkin, or if they're double teaming Ovechkin, they're piling on him. Kuznetsov's right open. One thing his trademark, I would say, has been his those tight angle shots. He'll be like on that red line, and he'll take that shot at a very sharp angle, bank it off of the pad of the goalie, or he'll do some interesting stuff with those goals that he does, and there's the shots that he takes to get those very tight angle goals. I think I've never seen someone do that as often as Kuznetsov. God, he's a great skater, and just about 3 years of his career here at this point. Back in 2017 or 2016, 2017. There you have Kuznetsov. It's been a pleasure watching him play. Now onto some more recent Capitals. This is Connor McMichael. Young Guns card here. Hoping one day this will be worth something because he's got potential. He's got a lot of years ahead of him, and he's been kind of the doghouse a little bit this year. Lafayette's been maybe not so keen on his play at times, but we're hoping that long term he's going to be a real big playmaker because he was great in OHL there with London Knights. So we're hoping one day he moves on to bigger and better things, hopefully still here in DC. And then Anthony Mantha. This is a guy who we traded Jake Vrana, and he came from the Red Wings. He actually scored a big goal a couple nights ago, so he's looking like he's a guy he'll have a couple more years left on his contract here. He'll be sticking around. Vrana was going to need a big deal, and we just weren't able to cut a check for him, so we brought in Mantha, and he's been doing some good things here. So that's our Washington Capitals. Let me know if I missed anybody, if I need to add anybody. One in particular, I was trying to find a Matt Bradley, because I remember Matt Bradley was another really good guy that I remember watching back in the late 2000s. And I couldn't really find a Matt Bradley card that was at a reasonable price. So if you have a Matt Bradley card, get in contact with me, or if you think I can put any others in this series, I'd be happy to hear that. Just post a comment below and let me know. Until next time, I will catch you later.